We're here.
We're back here on VSN. Good evening, everybody, and welcome into tonight's broadcast live on the NFHS Network, brought to you by our friends and partners at Vibrant Aspect Media. I'm Josh Grant. That's John Massoni, the best color man in the business. It's the regional semifinal. It's your Venice Indians and the Lehigh Lightning. John, I'm amped. I mean, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a really interesting night tonight. The weather's great. Which is I guess the thing we concentrate a lot on around here in Venice, but the weather is fantastic. And a good matchup. I mean, Lehigh comes in the fifth-ranked team in the region, Venice being number one, but Lehigh also comes in with a very high-profile player that is going to bring a lot of attention to not only our fans, but hopefully our fans on the stream tonight. Richard Young, number one running back in the country. So a very interesting matchup. Probably one of the better, or if not the best, regional semifinal in the state, maybe in 4S.
Absolutely, and it is an absolutely picture-perfect night here at Powell Davis Stadium. If you can't get there, you can watch the game live on the NFHS Network. You're watching us live now on the Venice Football Facebook and Vibrant Aspect Media YouTube page. Thanks for joining us. Let's recap last week's record-setting win. Indians defeated the Riverdale Raiders 87-20. If you look at it, it's just a dominating performance, 63-10 at the half. The Indian offense had scored 217 points on the season before last Friday night. I did the math as a stats nerd that I am. 87 points is 40% of the team's entire offensive output throughout the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those games where the offense was clicking and obviously helped out a lot as well by the special teams and the defense. Third play from scrimmage, Damon Wilson scoops and scores a 20-yard touchdown to get things rolling. And then from right there, it was just sort of an avalanche that Riverdale couldn't overcome. And then, again, another thing with the special teams was Elliott Washington with an unbelievable
Not
night.
one, not two, 3 kickoff returns for touchdowns. Just unbelievable special teams night all around. Quarterback Brooks Bentley was 14 of 20 for 209 yards and 3 touchdowns. Alvin Johnson and Jamaris Wilder both had 6 carries. Johnson 112 yards and 2 scores. Wilder 6 carries for 69 yards and 2 touchdowns. Elliott Washington and Keon Sears on Friday night had 460 all-purpose yards on special teams alone. And another notable, you talked about on the coaches show, and we'll talk about it here in just a couple of minutes, kicker Kirill Kotov, 9 of 9 on PATs last Friday night. Let's take a look at that clip from the Massoni and Peacock podcast on Tuesday night.
I felt like our kids were focused. They came in the game, with a direct focus of we're going to handle the business tonight and not look ahead to the next opponent. And they came out firing on all cylinders. 3 plays into the game, we were up 7-0, and special teams had one of the biggest nights, or probably the biggest night ever in our school's history.
Yeah.
With Elliott Washington had 3 kickoff returns for touchdowns, as well as you had Keon with about a 65-yard return as well.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the big sparks, and one of the big things we walked away is we returned 3 touchdowns on the kickoff return, 2 for 99 and 1 for 90. That's a huge night as far as your special teams go. Offensively, we scored every possession. We never fell short in the red zone. Brooks Bentley had a great night. He not only was his stat line and the numbers excellent, but just that really doesn't tell the whole story.
Defensive side of the ball, we talked about special teams and offense, but third play from scrimmage, you get Damon Wilson scoop and score for a 20-yard touchdown. That, if anything, that's the best way maybe the best way you could start. Without even your offense on the field, you go up 7-0.
Well, you do that, and it really you feel like a ton of bricks, and any and all pressure kind of offensively kind of you feel like everything's been lifted.
Yeah.
So we got to play like that anyway. But when that does happen on the defensive side of the ball, before you even step out in the field offensively, and you're up 7-0, that's a huge way to relieve some any jitters or pregame jitters.
Yeah, all that anxiety just gets washed right away. Yeah, so it's like you get there and you say to yourself, okay, we got to do something, and then they spot you 7 for you, and they're back on the field again, and you're like, okay, this is get us the ball better, and then you get the ball back on their 35, and it makes it even more comfortable. So
the field position all night too. I mean,
tremendous.
If we didn't have that type of field position, who knows what the offense numbers would have been.
Yeah.
But we'll take short fields all year. But we had great field position by the defense. The defense really put the clamps down all night long. I think they crossed the 50 one time with the starters. They had a double pass, which we kind of bit up on. And,
almost got back there.
Yeah, almost got back there. Recovered. I think Jaquavius came over from the free safety spot and almost was able to make a play there.
But no, like I said, but again, everybody, good stat lines for a lot of players. David Wilson had a really good stat line, sacks, and touchdowns, recoveries, that kind of stuff. Carter Dalton had a nice night. He intercepted a pass and sack and tackle for loss and that kind of thing. And so, and you've been out missing Sage Utsi. He's out now, and I think the secondary played well again. They didn't test us too much, but I thought that they are all seeming to find their way and seem comfortable in their positions.
I think Dalen Platt's really starting to find his way and be comfortable back there, and that's going to be huge for us moving forward. We can have you can count on Dalen on the outside and to cover somebody and run our defense. So that's going to be huge moving forward. Yeah,
and you talked about his athleticism and his ability to sort of be where you need him, because he can play both sides of the ball now. He could be that type of guy moving forward. So you love to see him be able to function on the defensive side, especially when you need him in those situations.
Right.
Another thing I was going to say about special teams, kind of an interesting stat line. Krokotov, 10 kickoffs, 9 touchbacks. I say it all the time during the games. It's so huge in high school football because we got Elliot Washington returning kicks. All these teams have super athletes back there ready to make plays, and when they can't get out of the end zone because they're not allowed to run out of the end zone, it's just they start at the 20, have to go 80. It's tough.
Yeah, if he can be consistent on that moving forward in the playoffs, that'll be a huge weapon for us.
Oh, 87-20, just as close to a perfect game as you could possibly get.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you go into a game like that never intending or expecting to score that many points, but when it starts to roll, it fed right to every part of the team. You you mentioned Krokotov. Krill only went 9 for 9 on extra points. He also he kicked 9 touchbacks, and 2 of them, the other 2 were just barely not touchbacks. So he had a big night as well. So. You can't ask for a better start than that to the playoff season, and hopefully that carry over. The confidence that they're going to get from that game should carry over to tonight. But you don't want to be overconfident. Obviously, you just want to make sure that you're getting the right frame of mind, focused up, and getting that quick start to each game.
Well, and what it did was sent a message to the entire region that Venice, while the record is not normal as it's been in the last couple of years, this is still the team to beat in this region 4S.
And if you looked at how the playoffs played out in the 4S bracket, the whole thing, everybody had a little bit of a tough tussle. There were some games that were halftime where the 1 seed may have been behind and whatnot. And look at our portion of the bracket, our region. I mean, the bottom half of the bracket won everything except for Riverdale. And they all 5, 6, and 7 all came out and won. So. It's definitely when then you see Venice and we're like extremely dominant and compared to the other teams and somebody might say, well, Riverdale. No, Riverdale's a playoff team just like everybody else is a playoff team. So they've had success. They're an above average high school football team. So that number that score will stand out at least until this week's over.
I mean, I've watched high school football for a long time, obviously, as you have. I don't think I've ever seen 3 kickoff or punt returns in one game. Actually, I don't even think I've seen them in one season, let alone 3 in one game.
And this is no indictment of the coaching staff from Riverdale or whatever, but it's most of the time you're just not going to find a way not to kick to that guy.
Right.
Maybe the second time you're like, oh, okay, but at that point you didn't have anything. Once he was going unhindered to about the 20-yard line, then his speed and size were just going to take over. It was just nothing you could do about it.
So Brooks Bentley, 14-20 for 209 and 3 scores. And as you and Coach talked about on the Masonian Peacock podcast, he has really taken this offense and executes almost flawless throws, flawless game plan. Let's hear what you had to say about the quarterback, Brooks Bentley.
We got to turn the film on and see. I mean, he's putting these balls, perfect. Perfectly thrown downfield.
The right speed,
right.
Everything's right where it needs to be. Nothing low, nothing behind anybody. Giving these guys an opportunity to make plays after the catch. Sometimes the ball's a little behind you. You got to stop and
I want to say we had 2 or 3 drops. I know 2. I can think 2 off right off my top of my head now. But I think we probably had 3 drops Friday night. But he threw for 190 yards, 3 touchdowns, and.
Yes.
I'm not sure what it was. What was the numbers?
14 out of 20.
14 out of 20.
Yeah.
With 3 drops, could have been 17 out of 20.
Absolutely.
So great night by him. He's really getting the grasp of being now that we're 10 games in. Is that right? 10 games in? No, we're 9 games in. This will be the 10th. This will be game number 10. That we're this far down the season, and him being the first year with us, he's really, he's got the keys to it. I mean, he understands everything we're doing now. And
tempo is there.
Yes,
everything's there.
Everything's perfect right now.
You watch them in the highlight package earlier. He gets the ball kind of. If you can see the bounce in his step, he knows where he's going with the ball. It's out of his hand quick. He's trusting his receivers, which is a big part of it as well. And you start to see that kind of tempo, that kind of pace. Everything we do as far as tempo is concerned is obviously it's brisk. Let's just say it's crisp what we do. And if he's doing that, getting the ball out of his hand, it just keeps that pace going. Because now you're getting big chunk yards. Yeah. You're down 20 yards downfield. You're running the line of scrimmage. They're in that sort of whatever the team is. There's in sort of that sort of retreat mode, and that just keeps that momentum just keeps building. You score, you come back and do it again, and it gets harder and harder each time to slow it down. So he's the catalyst to all that. But
I mean, as the season has gone on, obviously we expect him to get better and better. But the passes are right there. The receivers are breaking on the perfect routes. I mean, he has stepped up his game exponentially as we move in towards the state playoffs.
And the second half of that is not just the throwing part of it, but the running part of it. When he's running, he's effective when he runs. Most of the time, he's running in usually crucial situations, and he finds a way to either use his speed or his finesse or whatever you want to call it to get to the right spot. And he's been very, very effective all year, or getting more effective, I should say, all year at the position.
So if you're watching tonight on the Venice Football Facebook or YouTube.com/Vibrant Aspect Media, you can purchase the ticket to tonight's games or the NFHS Network. Watch it on your smart TV, Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, Roku. You can watch it anywhere or right into your living room. If you go back to last week's video, I actually showed you how easy it was. You click on the link, and you're ready to go. I mean, what a better way to – if you can't make it out to Powell Davis Stadium, there's a lot of those who can't. You can sit and watch this right from your living room, right in your home. Yeah,
and like I said, it's our broadcast. It just happens to be on a different way of getting to it. And we're happy to be a part of the NFHS network for the playoffs. It's a pretty cool situation for all of us here at Vibrant Aspect Media. So
the Booster Club golf tournament last week, John? And my team came in second place, but what a fun, we shot a 58. What a fun, just a fun day it was, and great to be a part of, and great for the community to help out the Venice Indian football program.
And I'll say applause to everybody who was volunteered and help out with that situation, right down from Jessica Pacino, the Booster Club president who really runs that situation, to the volunteers, to the people at Waterford Golf Club. It was a really well-run a tournament. And when you know this is when you're checking in and there's not a line to check in, and when you're playing that you don't have these gigantic delays in between shots, really flowed well. And, of course, the on-course volunteers providing beverages and just entertainment and regarding different things that are going on the golf course. So really, really cool time. And glad that once again it was a success for the Booster Club and for Venice football.
Lots of great community partners who took part in last week's golf tournament. And we're going to take a break here on the pregame show, and you'll hear from some of these community partners who helped make this broadcast and program run. You're watching tonight's pregame show live on Facebook at facebook.com/Venice Indian Football and youtube.com/Vibrant Aspect Media. We'll be back in a couple of moments.
In common, the perfect team and the perfect lineup. Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram will always go the extra yard so you can score big with the area's best selection and savings. So if you're looking for a championship vehicle lineup
and a dealership that tackles the competition,
visit Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice.
And if you're looking for a championship football lineup, check out the Venice High football team.
Who supports Venice High football?
Douglas does!
It's Maverick for our friends at Tommy's Express Car Wash. You won't find a better wash than at Tommy's Express. 3 minutes in and out to save you time. With Venice now open, Tommy's now has 8 convenient locations in the area and many more to come. Join the Tommy Club here and you're a member at them all. Text the word WORKS to 52884 and get a free Works wash. Good luck this season, and go Indians!
Tri-County Land Development, servicing the Charlotte, Sarasota, and Manatee areas for over 19 years. Quality workmanship in residential and commercial site development ensure that what you need is done right the first time. Tri-County Land Development.
So we'll talk further in tonight's pregame show about the playmakers playing. We'll go to that clip now. You and Coach talked about every game. It seems like the playmakers now are picking up and making more plays than the game before. Ryan Matulovic. We'll talk about Ryan Matulovic in a little bit, but let's play that clip from the Masoni and Peacock podcast.
And he's got guys that are making some plays for him too. We talked about how Alvin Johnson and Gator Wilder, each six carries during in the game. Alvin will touch over 100. Gator in the mid 60s, mid 70s. As far as rushing was concerned, 2 touchdowns. Those guys are making plays as well as the receivers are too.
Yeah, and Keon's had put together some big nights. I think he's had 3 or 4 big games back to back here. We saw Ryan Matulovic had nine catches for over 100 yards.
Yeah.
And I was thinking back to 2008 or 9, that would have been a school record.
Yeah.
Before we were introduced to a guy named Javon Hiley,
who took the school records and
made it state records.
Yeah. Made a paper airplane out of him. Yeah.
So that's a huge night. I mean, 9 catches in one game, and again, before we knew of Javon, I think the school record might have been 40 catches on the year,
yeah.
and he's well past that.
Yes.
So it's a big. He's had a big season, and he's just a sophomore. So maybe he'll be rivaling Javon's number.
Well, again,
I don't want to say that,
but the way he started as a sophomore, that's where Javon started. So there could be some comparisons. We don't put that kind of pressure on the kid, but nonetheless, there's the potential for that is there as well.
The sophomore Matulovic early on became Bentley's favorite target and now continues to get better each and every week with that comeback route. He's only hit him on a couple of longer plays, but Ryan Matulovic is quickly becoming the possession receiver akin to Javon Hiley.
So watching how Riverdale was defending Ryan Matulovic, they were giving him early in the game some 10, 15 yards of space off the line of scrimmage. You're gonna play toss and catch all day if you're Brooks and you're Ryan in that situation. However, what they were saying and noticing is that Ryan was getting deep on some passes, not as a regular diet, but they weren't about to let him get deep on him, so they were giving them that stuff. Coach Peacock sees it, Coach Mack sees it, Brooks sees it, everybody sees it, and you're like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. And when you can execute that play, it doesn't seem like it's hard, but to get that timing down and get that catch and get those extra yards after catch. Man, what a weapon that is when we can be so confident and comfortable in doing that and never being behind the sticks.
That's clearly a lofty comparison between Matulovic and Javon Hiley. But I looked up their stats this week. In their sophomore year, Javon Hiley, just an absolute machine, 63 catches for 944 yards and 11 scores. Ryan Matulovic, 43 catches for 536 yards and 7 touchdowns. Obviously a very different offense in that sophomore season for Javon Hiley, led by quarterback Bryce Carpenter. But you can see that the comparisons are there.
Yes, I mean, because it does have that, when you have that connection, so to speak, whatever that would be, that's where you see the comparison. The numbers may not be perfectly in unison, but same type of situation, same type of throws, same type of effectiveness, and that comes with, for both Bryce Carpenter and Javon Hiley and now Ryan and Brooks. That's a lot of time working together. That's a lot of time during practice getting that down so that you just feel like it's a long handoff at that point. And when you have that kind of feel to it, man, you can go to it at any point in time in the game and make a play.
It's kind of like us, John. Kind of like you can
Yeah,
throw it
I
to
don't
me,
have
I
to
throw it
look
to
at
you.
you.
We
I can
are.
just keep going.
Well, it's good that you don't have to look at me. But so again, you can purchase tonight's broadcast on the NFHS network. You can down in the link in description on the YouTube broadcast for tonight's pregame show. You can purchase it. $11.99 gives you a whole month, and I believe we're going to be able to go all the way up through the state semifinals. Francis, is that correct?
Yeah, through the regional game for sure.
So the regional final for sure. Hopefully the state semifinals will be good. Obviously not the state finals because that's the Spectrum broadcast.
Right.
But $11.99 you can get tonight and at least tonight and next week. And it's the best high school football broadcast in the country. So we're going to flip over to the NFHS broadcast. Purchase it $11.99. You get tonight's game, next week's game, provided that we go to next week's game. We don't count our chickens before they hatch,
Absolutely
but
not, yeah.
we're ready to go. We'll see you in a couple of minutes on the NFHS Network. You're watching tonight's broadcast brought to you by Vibrant Aspect Media.